Hello and welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and I have the wonderfully talented and creative co-host, Paul Vato. Hi, Paul.
Howdy, AJ. Thank you so much. I'm fresh back from Podfest Expo in Orlando, and it's amazing to be back and hit the road running again. And I've been looking so much forward to this interview. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Paul, for being here. I love your shirt. And I just want to give a shout out to your really cool mic and your screen behind you. You've got like pop-up photos there. People can check it out and see Paul Vato Presents and all kinds of fun stuff you got there. So I just wanted to shout out to you. But guess what, Paul? Guess who we have in the building tonight? I'm so excited, super excited. We have Darion d'Anjou. Is that correct?
D'Anjou. That's
right D'Anjou. And it's French, and I think there's some Jamaican in there. We're going to talk about that. But Darion is a director, writer, producer, cinematographer, and he's a teacher, instructor. He's amazing. He's done a lot of wonderful films, and he is so experienced in cameras and even the latest Unreal Engine 5. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. And we want to say a warm welcome to Darion. Hi, Darion. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, so good to be here, AJ. I really appreciate you having me on the show. I've been looking forward to this.
We're so happy you are here, and we have been looking forward to it as well. So you're on the East.
My friend Paul, who I met in the early days of Clubhouse, and so this is a great treat to be able to reunite with Paul a bit, because we haven't gotten a chance to really talk. So. Or at least, in a while since the early days. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. So Paul, jump in anytime you want. Paul, did you want to say something?
You know what? I feel the same way, because I know that we had some great connections early. And by early, I joined at the end of January last year, 2021. And I met so many wonderful people. But, throughout the history of Clubhouse, even if you meet somebody that's interesting, I can't sit there and say, like, let me talk to Darion, let me talk to AJ, because we don't want to monopolize the time. There's other people in the room. So this is what I love about this series, is that I can sit here and we can catch up, and we're just talking about us. We're just talking about Darion. We're talking about his what's going on. And I love your work on that Unreal Engine 5. So I hope that this is the real Darion, and you didn't send in an Unreal 5 creation that you made, Darion.
One day,
you're very good at it, man.
I will get there. The technology is good enough that I probably, that would be fun to do one day, is a live Unreal Engine interview. I think that would be really cool.
Yes. What a great idea. Can we be your first, Darion? Can Paul and I?
Yeah. Paul just came up with the idea. So I think it'd be great to do that. And
I
then
would love that.
An extra Zoom screen with the digital character, and then like that. Yeah. Why not?
Oh my gosh, so cool. I'm really looking forward to that as well. This is going to be great. And also I want to let you know that the audience that I watched Hawk, Darion's film, and it was amazing with the color and lighting. I don't want to give too much away, but it's really done well with a great story. And I wanted to ask you, Darion, will you be doing a sequel to that?
Oh my goodness, I would love to, AJ. I have worked out a treatment for a feature-length version of Hop, because as you can tell when you watched it, it kind of sets up more of a thriller story that would continue from there. Just for those, Hop is, I'm into science fiction. I love conceptual science fiction, like Black Mirror style, where it's like really near future, but close enough to where you feel like, uh-oh, this could happen maybe next year or the year after, And while I love, far future science fiction, I do think I have an affinity for the science fiction that feels like it could happen to us at any moment, or maybe even could be happening to people around us right now. without us knowing, you know? And I think that kind of has a kind of exciting feeling to it. And so Hop is like that, where it's about that designer drug that it's a new designer drug that, you know, allows you to be able to see through somebody else's experience, which is, that'd be really cool, right? I could see through AJ's eyes right now, you know, or I could see through Paul's eyes and feel what they feel, hear what they hear, see what they see. So yeah, so that's what Hop is about. And it's my first, what is that one? So that was definitely within the first year. So that would be the first short film. That's my first like fully fleshed out, completed short film that I ever made.
It's amazing. And Paul, I'll send you the link. You're going to love it. What I love about it is cool music, script, and acting. These are the notes I wrote when I was watching it. And didn't it win some sort of Atlanta Sci-Fi Film Festival? Can you talk about that?
It sure did. So just to give you a little background, I when I say it's my first finished film, I started out in film in the weirdest of ways, right? I've always been a very ambitious person as far as like what my vision is. And then I when I get these ideas, I just want them to happen all the way right away. So my very first film project was a feature film project that was all supposed to be all visual effects, all green screen, without realizing that I didn't have the way to finish that. Like I didn't know how, yeah, I just had the script, right? I was like, man, this is a cool idea. It's called Escape Room. And but it was like a sci-fi version of an escape room. So so I wrote that and I filmed it all to be in one room, but I really didn't have the resources to finish off the visual effects or the know-how. I didn't know much about visual effects at that time. And so that film was not completed. I did make a film for the 48-hour film festival that year, which that was completed, but you know, it's a 48-hour film festival. So it's not like a really, you know, you miss a lot of things sound wise and you're making some weird edits. Hop would be the first film that I really planned from beginning to end, executed like with all the shot lists the way it was intended to be, and got it to be a nice finish. And I immediately got accolades because it went to the Atlanta Science Fiction Film Festival. It went to the finals of that and won an audience award in that festival. So yeah, that was pretty amazing for my first completed film to like immediately get that kind of attention.
Wow, congratulations, Darion. And Paul, do you want to hop on in this conversation? Hop on in.
No, but well, yeah, I guess a little bit. How exciting was it then your first time out? I mean, you get pretty spoiled, you know. You're like, oh, it's gonna be like this, just like me when I first moved to Hollywood and landed something within 6 months. I'm like, this is easy. What? Why are people complaining?
Yeah, like,
and then you realize that that's just the beginning. So congratulations on that success. Where was this festival, and what year was this?
Yeah, so this would be 2016,
Okay.
Atlanta Science Fiction Film Festival.
Okay. Yes.
And which is a great festival. Obviously, for somebody who's into science fiction, I was like, wow, you know, I'm already kind of in with my crowd and my people. And honestly, that film festival is responsible for connecting me to a lot of people that I still work with to this day, because obviously it attracted all the people who are into science fiction in Atlanta. So I've since gone on to help out that festival. I've done mentoring for new filmmakers coming up through the festival. So that Atlanta Science Fiction Film Festival, and Amanda Ray, who runs it, will always have a special place in my heart. Well, we've become really good friends, and I've since also premiered other films at that festival as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. 2016, amazing, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. So 2016 was literally the first year that things got going for me in film. Yeah, I'm still kind of a young person in this film adventure. You know, I'm about 6 years in now.
Oh, wonderful. Are you from the Atlanta area, or where did you grow up?
I did. I was born in New York City, but I was raised in Atlanta. So I was actually here before there was ever a film industry.
Sure.
So I kind of feel like I'm responsible that I manifested the whole my love, that my favorite thing to do in the world. I just brought it to my own city. That's kind of how I feel.
That's amazing to do that, bring it to basically to your backyard. I mean, and it's the industry there has just, of course, exploded with all the shows that they filmed there. I mean, I'd like to meet someone that's there so that I can have a place to, so I can audition for more stuff in Atlanta, just because it's nice to be able to say, like, yeah, you can hire me as a local. I'm around.
Absolutely.
So
Here I am.
for my cigar business, it's amazing as well, because there's this great cigar scene in Atlanta. So I really need to get there and then connect with some of the business owners as well as actors and producers and everything. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Here anytime. You always have a place to stay. I have a guest room. You're welcome. You just come on through, man. I don't need much advance notice. So
You got it, my friend. Thank you so much. What a great offer.
Isn't that wonderful? I love that. I love that so much. And I want to say thank you, Darion, for that. And it's such an honor, Darion, to have you here. It really is. We met on Clubhouse, and here we are all together, Paul, you and I. And I do want to say one more thing about Hop. With Hop, you definitely created a film like nothing else that I have seen in cinematic celluloid. And the reason being is because you did such care and attention to detail regarding the lighting, shadows, placement, camera angles. You covered it all. And so I just want to say, Darion, my hat's off to you. I'm so proud of you. And it's beautiful in my mind. So very beautiful.
Thank you very much. Special
yes.
shout out to Chris Magdalensky, who was the director of photography on that, and also Robbie Corcoran, who was also a cinematographer as well, together with Chris. So between them, we really, I really wanted to get that pink and blue look, and they really helped me realize that at a time that was before I was a cinematographer myself. So it was great to have them help me realize that vision.
That is wonderful. Can you say the first gentleman's name again?
His name is Chris Magdalensky, and he lives here in the Atlanta area. He's an amazing talent because he's a photographer, cinematographer, and I learned so much actually working with Chris. And he even supported me in transitioning to become a cinematographer, because I said to him, I think I'd like to do this more. And so he's very instrumental in kind of giving me tips and how I sort of started picking that up and transitioned.
Oh, well, we say hello to him and thank you so much for being there and helping and the community and just being a great guy, just like Darion. So thank you to those great directors and producers. And Paul, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good, AJ. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing all that, Darion. Thank you.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to say was I also watched Mommy, and it was suspenseful and done really well, Darion. It kept my attention, and the music and the noises were spot on. And I'm just amazed. Did you really do it in just 3 weeks? Because the sound and the color are great.
Yes.
And how did you get the mommy's eyes like that? And just amazing. So, and Paul, I sent you the link to Hop, just to let you know.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
go
you.
ahead, Darion. Sorry, go ahead, Darion.
Mommy is a film that's done really well for me. It's got over 1.7 million views online on my YouTube channel, which is a monetized channel, so that's really great. And it paid for itself because of that. So with it paid for and then some. So I mean, the film is not a very expensive film. It's basically the cost of an Airbnb and some of the special effects stuff that we use. But my art director, Deanna Adelberg, she was amazing because we had to work with children. So we were working with a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old who I had never worked with children before. So I was really, really, nervous about that. But the young actors were super, super talented. And honestly, they're both very successful. So they have since Mommy,
Wow.
They've gone on. The young man is on he's a series regular now on a CBS show, and he's done actually a couple of horror related type of films. And I think that's because people saw him in Mommy.
Yeah.
So that helped him kind of get into some other really good opportunities. But check that out, because those two kids are some of the most talented actors I've ever worked with. I mean, they really came to set professional. Their parents were with them, and the challenge was that we're in this one Airbnb, and it's one take, so that, you know, there's no cutting, right? The camera just keeps going. But because it's a small little area, we sort of had to plan it that we snake around through the bathroom and then down the hall. And as we're doing that, the parents move from the living room into the bedroom where the kids were through another way. And then as we're passing them, and we go into the living room, and the little boy had to be laying there already mauled. So we had a separate shirt. So we had to switch from the clean version of the shirt to the bloody, ripped up version of the shirt, and then go and lay there and get right into character as, you know, Amy Mae Lu, who plays mommy, starts gnawing at his guts. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for a 7-year-old, I mean, I know for a 7-year-old to be able to pull that off and keep it, and you know, we nailed it within we did it in 3 takes. The one that you're seeing online right now is take number 3. And we actually did 6 takes because I felt a lot of pressure, right? Because I was with parents, with little kids. And when we finished shooting the really good take, like, I was in tears how good the take was. I was like, oh my gosh, we just nailed it. Like, you know how you're, as a filmmaker, you know when you nail it?
Yeah.
And everybody knows, like the whole set knew, like, this take was nailed. And I just knew it. And so I went over and Mason is the young actor's name, Mason Wells. So Mason runs over to me and he's like, Darion, can we see it? Can we see it? Mr. Darion, because he's very polite. Yeah, Mr. Darion, can we look at it? And so I try to go play it and it won't play back. And I'm like, I didn't know what was going on, right? And I'm feeling so much pressure because the parents are there. This 7-year-old boy is the one giving me the most pressure, honestly, because he's just so excited to see it. And I'm like, and it won't play, and I don't have an explanation. And so because of that, I thought I missed the shot. And I went and we did it 3 more times. And it would have been take number 5, would have probably been the next one that was like the next best one. But I didn't find out till I got home that the reason it wouldn't play was I was shooting in such a high resolution that it takes time to sort of index it before it can instantly, like, he was asking to play that so fast that it didn't have time to like index it. And my brain was too under pressure to think of that as maybe what that was, you know what I mean? It's like you're in the moment, you can't think of all these little technical things. And so instead of just figuring that out, I ended up shooting it 3 more times. So yeah. So that's kind of how that one went. But that was a special film for me. I really.
Which take did you end up using? Was it that first one?
That take number 3, the one that we knew that was great. The one that
amazing. I mean, that's amazing because to do it all in one take,
yeah,
and to like that choreography of people moving, and I mean, I've seen it done before.
Yeah,
whether it's one take, but they're literally moving furniture or stuff. But you know, to do a costume change and then get instantly into character, and there's no cuts, and people notice that they're like, oh my god, that was like the scene from Casino. You know, in one take. It's not an easy feat to accomplish. So congratulations.
Not at all. It is not at all. And it was like 3 different handoffs with the, you know, we're with the gimbal, right? So I was like, I started it. I handed it off to Shalisha Hui, who works on a lot of projects with me. She works on all big shows now. I can barely get her time now because she's like all booked always. Chris Cleveland was like, I think the next handoff. And then it got handed off back to me at the very end. And I did the final one where I'm like pulling back from mommy as she's coming at the camera. I was scared. Like she didn't really tell me what she was gonna do ahead of time. She's like, I'm gonna try something and see if you like it. And I was like, okay. They were like filming and she's coming at me and she's doing all this and her leg is going like, I'm like, wait, how did your knee just go up above, like behind your thing? And where's your hand? I go, I gotta run away with her. Fighting myself not to just run away from her.
Yeah. And how did you do those eyes? Was she wearing something, some kind of
Deanna Adelberg. Yeah, so that's my art director, Deanna Adelberg, who's worked with me on almost all my shorts. She's so great. And she figured all that stuff out. Like she had the one, like a contact. It's a special contact that she had in only one eye. and then makeup in both eyes. And then she just made it all work. And then there's blood dripping down and her hair is all like matted and bloody. I mean, it was a masterpiece what she did.
Amazing. And please correct me if I'm wrong on this, Darion. Was it filmed in 3 weeks?
Well, the whole thing was created in 3 weeks. So it was filmed in one day, really. Well, more than like kind of one half a day within a 6 hour day.
Wow.
Because it's kids, so you can't keep them there for that long, right? So they were there for 6 hours max, right? And but a friend of mine, I do mostly science fiction, and a friend of mine was putting together a horror anthology that we were selling tickets to, like an actual theater. And one of the filmmakers' films dropped out, like they weren't going to be able to have it on time or whatever. And he was like, "We need another film. I know you make really good films. Would you like to make a horror film?" You know? And I was like, "Okay." How much time do I have? He's like, "Well, October is like in 3 weeks, so you pretty much have to have it done in 3 weeks." I'm like, "Have it done? Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." And so I went and I wrote it, and I wrote it. I cast it. Luckily, I knew like all these talented people already, but I did not know the kids. So we had to cast to get Mason and Ava. So Mason and Ava are the two kids who are both still working and very talented, but we had to cast them. And Shannon Rice, who's a casting director based in Atlanta, helped us find those two very professional children. So that made the production. Honestly, the casting is what did it. So
beautiful.
And actually, let me tell you one more thing. Mason influenced the story because the little doll that was not in the script that I wrote.
Oh.
He showed up to the audition with that little doll, or a similar doll. It wasn't the same doll, it was like a different doll. And so I was like, whoa, this is very inspired. And just to give you an idea of just how good Mason is, I had him audition with a couple of different kids, right? And there were some of the other kids, they don't remember their lines. There's all kind of confusion. And I noticed that he was helping them remember their lines off of the top of his head. So he knew his lines and he knew their lines, and he would kind of whisper their lines to them to help them move the scene along.
Oh, wow.
Then for fun, just because he was doing so well, I was like, you know what? Hey, would you like to try something? I could have you switch roles. You play the other role, but we'll change your name to, instead of, I at the moment, I can't remember the name, the woman's character name, but the young girl's name. I gave him a boy name of that. And he says to me, he said, "I don't need you to change it to a boy name. I'll just play it as a girl."
Wow.
That's great.
Like, he said, "It's just play."
Yeah. And here he is helping and supporting other actors if they want it or need it. I love this, don't you?
So years later, you can understand why he's on a CBS series now. He's in a number of horror films. Like he's on his way, and he's only at this point, and he's only like 11 years old or something. So like, yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of Mason in future.
Wow. Well, Darion, you sure know how to pick them. I will tell you that. And I love this discussion so much. This is so fascinating. It's fabulous to me. I also want to talk
anybody's names. I just because I want to give people the right credit, right, for the work that they've done. So it's like I'm always like, oh my God, am I going to remember the names? So thank goodness that I'm remembering some names.
Yeah, this is great. And people love that because then they're acknowledged, and we all want to feel acknowledged. And I love that you're doing that. So we're giving a shout out to all of the great cast of Mommy. Thank you so much for that wonderful entertainment. And speaking of great entertainment, first of all, I want to check over with Paul. Paul, do you want to have any questions before I go to the movie posters? These great movie posters.
No, those are some great posters. But I'd like to get that kid's name. So because there's always this thing about not working with children or animals, but when you're able to do it and do it well, so kudos to you. But it sounds like this little kid's like I said, well, he's where he's at now for
Yeah, Mason.
for a reason.
Mason Wells. He played the little boy.
Wonderful.
Tommy. I guess it was Tommy. Wait, no. What did I name those kids in there? I can't remember right now. But I'm just glad I can remember the actual actor's name. So Mason Wells played the little boy.
Wonderful.
And Monger played his older sister.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm sorry. Where can people see this project? Can they see it somewhere?
Project, so like most of my projects you can find on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/movie fandom. So it's movie fandom, all one word. And,
Movie fan.
Yeah, and all the shorts on there are either mostly directed by mine, or they're like I've shot them or co-produced them with friends of mine. So all the shorts I'm tied in with in some way.
And that's where our audience and your fans can also watch Hop, your film Hop.
That's right. Yep.
So, and there's a lot of great films on there. And so please check that out on YouTube, Darion's YouTube channel. It's really, really great. And speaking of great things, we've got these movie posters here, Through Elena's Eyes and Fated Reunion. Darion, I love these posters. You know how we always have movie posters on Film Talk with AJ Dean because that's what we're known for. That's our brand. And I just love these. These are gorgeous. Can you share with us a little bit about each one?
Absolutely. So Through Elena's Eyes, I'm pretty proud of that one. I'm the director on that one. But I was able to help the writer producer. It was her vision, and it was one of her first short film projects. Although she has quite a bit of experience in theater, she wanted to venture into film. And I believe it was Jason Louder, the lead actor, who recommended me as a director because we had worked together. Me and Jason had worked together on my short film Pony. And Jason is just a very special actor who gives so much to the Atlanta community. He also coaches children as well in acting, as well as he's just the most generous soul that you can possibly be. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to be recommended to direct this and help her realize this project, which is about a woman who in a relationship with a man who's losing his vision. So if you can imagine losing your vision in your adult life, the kind of drama that would come with that, especially as a man, we're kind of like, a lot of our value is put into providing, especially if we're in a relationship. So if you feel like you're losing your sight, you might be losing your ability to provide, which would affect your feeling of manhood. All of these things are kind of associated with that and are dealt with in that film. So that one's going to be a great one to see. That's a short. Fated Reunion is, Omega Keys from Keys Harden from Clubhouse, I think. And she's in our rooms all the time in the Darion Donji 1 Minute Film School. But I think she had been sort of like watching me quietly for, from the shadows for like a really long time without ever coming up on stage in the room or anything like that. But then she's finally sort of little by little coming on stage. And then she said to me, you know what? I've got this project and I think I could use some help in post-production. And I was like, well, tell me about it, because I really don't really do anyone's project. I kind of have to, feel like it's helping something. Like, I don't really, our time is very limited, right? So it's like if you're gonna do a project, it's gonna take way more time than any amount of money that's associated with it. So the money is really not relevant as much as the time that it's gonna take. And so with Omega, I think what I loved is that she is an entrepreneur and she's taking charge of her career by creating these projects, which she self-releases and self-distributes. And she's been doing very well doing that. And so for me, to support an Atlanta woman, a Black woman who is doing that kind of thing, for me is always going to be near and dear to my heart, 100%. We talk about me being a West Indian heritage and Caribbean upbringing and things like that. And, to be fair, we can tend to be a bit chauvinistic, right? As a culture in the West Indies, it's just a thing. And I know we're not the only one that's kind of can be patriarchal, but we definitely have that in there. But the thing is, my experience with a Jamaican mom is that Jamaican women are very strong, very independent. You know, they're gonna get things done one way or the other, and that's the experience that I had. And so it's natural for me to want to support, especially Black women. You know, it's just this is the, you know, if you want strong Black men and wonderful, powerful, strong Black men, it's gonna start with, you know, it's gonna start with a Black woman. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
so it's important to me to support that, because I feel like by supporting Black women, I'm supporting Black people and my community in general. And Through Elena's Eyes is an example of that. Fated Reunion is also an example of that. And that's something that you'll probably see as a consistent theme. Yeah.
I love that. And we need that. And it's time, and it's changing the world. You really are, Darion. And it's about time. Can I just say that? It's about time. I'm not gonna swear, but I'm just gonna say it's about time, right, Darion?
It's about time.
AJ, you asked us not to swear, and I feel like you're the one that was about to.
Yeah.
It would be appropriate right there. So yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love the stories behind these great films, and they need to be told, and they're fun and interesting and relatable, and bring up so many amazing topics like Through Elena's Eyes. Absolutely, eyesight is so important, and to take care of our eyes as well. I mean, it is a gift, vision, right? So what a beautiful story, and what a great message in film. Thank you, Darion. Anything else you wanted to say about that before I pass it over to Paul?
No, I just go see them. just clock those posters, and if you see them wherever they get released. Support independent filmmakers, because that's the only way we're going to be able to keep giving you interesting stuff that's maybe off, you know, not the same as what you've always been given, right? Yeah. Support your independent filmmakers, and we will support you by giving you really cool, interesting stories to enjoy.
Yes, and I hope Omega watches this, because I want to say, hi, Omega. I saw you today in Darion's 1 Minute Film School room on Clubhouse, and it was great. And we want to also talk about that, Darion. But I do want to mention.
She's actually a veteran, right? She's you know, she's from the military, and wow. And I think that's also something that's worth. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, it's our country, right? We have our flaws. We have our history is as dodgy as you can get for any country. It doesn't get more dodgy. Maybe it gets as dodgy, but it doesn't really get more dodgy. Yeah. And yet we can be proud of our country because it is our country. And so we have the opportunity to reshape it into what we want it to be. And so I want to say that too about Omega, with her being an entrepreneur and making this film business that she's building. I feel like she is an example of the American dream. You know, she's somebody who served for our country, which I'm proud of, and then now is moved into this next phase of her career, which is building this whole film empire that she's building, that I am glad to help help her build. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is fabulous. And I love that so much. And I wanted to ask you, Darion, about this. Is your name French? I know you're Jamaican, beautiful Jamaican. I love Jamaican food. I love curries. I love jerk chicken. I love the spices. Tell us a little bit about that, Darion.
Okay, and you got to slow down on the talking about Jamaican food, or I might just run off here and try to go score me some before the interview's done.
Give me some chicken and rice, okay? And okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's amazing. I was very fortunate to grow up with some of the best food that you like literally at home, where everybody else has to go to a Jamaican restaurant to get that food. That's what I grew up on. I grew up on curried chicken, oxtail, chicken stew, all these things, dumpling, all the chicken soup. So my mom is Jamaican and my father is from British Guyana, which is in South America. It actually borders the ocean at the top and then Brazil to the south. It also used to be all one Guyana, but it got split up. So there's British Guyana, Dutch Guyana, and French Guyana. So you got the three Guyanas. And the name d'Anjou actually comes from Martinique, which is another Caribbean island, but that's like, let's say 3 or 4 generations back. And then before that, it comes from France, because there was a noble by the name of René d'Anjou who governed the Anjou region of France. So if you go to France and you do the wine valley tour through La Loire Valley, where all the wine is, and you go to literally every winery and you sip and taste their wines, and then within a few hours you're drunk and you're like buying all these bottles of wine because they're all so good. If you do that tour, it's actually in the Anjou region of French. Well, my name is d'Anjou, which means I'm from Anjou, and that comes from René d'Anjou. But here's the funny part. So I don't know if it's funny or not, but there was a thing called the French Revolution, and all of the governors and the nobles who served Louis XIV, they ended up with the same fate that he did, which was, the guillotine. Yeah, the guillotine. and René d'Anjou was one of the nobles who got the guillotine. So my name actually comes from this noble who was one of those guillotine French Revolution nobles. And I kind of like to say it, my dad at one point was considering changing the name just because of like a colonialism and slave kind of history. But he decided against it, partly because of that story, because he said, you know what, that may be the history of the name, but it doesn't have to be the future of the name. We can control the future of the name. So
amazing. Yeah.
So I carry this name very proudly, and I feel honored to create the new future meaning of what that name could mean.
Oh, I love this. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Darion, it also represents, I'm so glad your father kept and you have kept your name, because that name says that you have overcome that. And it is in the past, but you carry that with strength and honor, just like you said. Paul, what do you think? Isn't that phenomenal?
Yeah, I love it. And your father sounds like a wise man, because that's right. Lately I've been interviewing some people where, one thing, and this had even nothing to do with your present family, but that one thing doesn't define a man. It's where they end up. So that's wonderful that you're taking the power, a very powerful name, and then making it something greater through your filmmaking and the people that you're helping. So congratulations. I think your father said something very wise there, man.
Thank you.
I do too. And I love it because I knew it was French, because I have a little bit of French in me.
Okay.
And of course, I love Les Twins, right? Who are French.
Yeah.
But you have an incredible history. I love that. I love that story. Thank you so much, Darion. And I did want to ask you, can you tell us about your Darion 1 Minute Film School and how people can be a part of that?
Absolutely. So for those watching who are not familiar with Clubhouse, I actually met both AJ Dean and Paul Vato on Clubhouse, and I've met a lot of my great friends that have come into my life now through Clubhouse. It was an amazing thing that I don't think I would have discovered were it not for the pandemic. So the pandemic, which was one of the most awful things that happened to us, at the same time has resulted in a lot of positive things, right? And as is often the case with life, we know it's like some of the worst and most disastrous things kind of tend to result, because of human nature, right? We find a way to turn that thing into something positive. And Clubhouse to me is one of those, because it's like Clubhouse helped a lot of us survive the pandemic emotionally, honestly. We weren't able to come out of our houses. We weren't able to socialize in the ways we were used to. And we would get onto Clubhouse and really socialize in that way. And, so one of the things that I did is I definitely love to share what I know. And it doesn't mean, so I had a mentor who told me please don't wait until you are at this quote unquote pinnacle of success, or wherever you think that thing is, or you're standing there with an Oscar, and then that's when you turn around and now you can help people or something. Because if you didn't help people on the way to the Oscar, you're not going to help people after you get the Oscar. That's what they said. And they also said, what you don't realize is that what you've accomplished at this point is already a lot. It's already amazing. Like, you think that you're still trying to achieve, and you are, but you forget how far you've actually come, how much you've learned, And so literally I got that advice during COVID, right before getting on Clubhouse. And so when I got on Clubhouse and I was in these film rooms and people were asking all these questions, it kind of just clicked in my mind. I was like, people really need to know a lot of stuff that I already know. Like, I've been through this experience. Like, how do you make a short film? How do you get it into festivals? How do you get people to watch them? And these things had already happened to me in the few short years. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to create the Darion Donji 1 Minute Film School, which will embody what advice I would give to somebody who's starting in 2021, right? Which is when I started it on Clubhouse. I was like, if somebody's asking me what's the best way to kind of get going in film and do really well in it, this school would be literally every exact thing of like how I would do it. And it would be 1 minute films. So I really believe in 1 minute films because they're shorter than 7 to 8 minute short films are really hard to make. They're really hard. It's not that easy to do it well. But if you make a 1 minute short film, it's still not easy, but it's more manageable to people. It's not as overwhelming, and you can do it, and you can imagine doing it, and that gets people going. Like, where people might delay on a short film or kind of like hesitate or whatever. If you say, well, hey, we've got this 1 minute film competition and there's a deadline, it's in 3 weeks, you know what I mean? They're like, you know what? Darn it, I can make a 1 minute film in 3 weeks, And then they go about doing it, and it might be harder than they think, but they've already started by then. It's too late. And then they're messaging me, and I'm like, yeah, you can do this. You've only got a week left, but you might as well. You've already started. And so that's what's happened. So we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/1 minute film school. And we've been doing this since February of 2021. And all the films that Clubhouse filmmakers have made, the 1 minute films, are all on the channel. There are over 100 films on the channel. We've done a number of competitions. Johnny Woo is one of our biggest sponsors since the beginning. He gives prizes. Nye McGee is currently giving a $150 prize to best screenwriting. We've had Jason Clare, who's on the app, who's given $500 cash prize last summer in July.
Wow.
We had, it's crazy. We've had Steven Bernstein, who's a big time Hollywood, cinematographer and director. And he's given his mentorship as a prize. They've gotten hours of time with him to review their scripts or their projects and things like that. So it's and on and on and on and on. So it's been a really great thing that just happened organically. None of it was planned, but I'm very proud of it. I'm very, very proud of it.
Congratulations. And it sounds it. So anybody who's interested can hop on Clubhouse and search for your club.
Yeah.
What did they search for, Darion?
If you search for my club is called Movie Makers. And that's the club that houses the 1 minute film school. So awesome. if you're a member of Movie Makers, you get all the updates and everything. Plus, of course, I talk about other things related to movies and everything like that. But the flagship room that's on Wednesdays and Saturdays every week is Darion Donji 1 minute film school, and it's very craft oriented. So
I love it. I love it, and I always learn something. So thank you for always including me.
Thank you for coming by too. Yeah, always.
It's so much fun. So thank you, Darion. And Paul, over to you.
It's amazing, and it works on so many levels, Darion, because for me, when I started my podcasting journey, it was because of a contest where the podcast had to be between 1 minute and 2 minutes. So you kind of tell yourself, you're like, I got this in me. I can talk for 2 minutes. It's not going to be embarrassing. And I came up with a couple of cool shows, and did I win the competition? No, I entered too late and didn't really know how to edit those, but it got me motivated to start that and go. And then I think by you making it a minute, it shows people the importance of every single second of every single frame in a movie. Because now, if I've got to tell a story in a minute, then rest assured, if I've got 92 or 93 of those minutes, I should make every single minute count, because it's very, very important. So you're really onto something here. And thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Well, Paul, I'm really appreciative of what you just said, of just, with your experience as well with the minute, that it gets you going, because you feel like you should be able to do it. It's a minute, it's 2 minutes. Come on, like, who can tell it, I can do this, and it's not, it's a trick, right? Because once you get into it, and I'm pretty sure with the podcast, right, there's editing that has to happen. The sound has to be a certain way. It's not like, honestly, the setup to do a 2-minute podcast, I'm pretty sure at the beginning that is the same as doing a 9 minutes, right? Because you still have to get your microphones, you still have to do your sound checks, you still have to do, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, but what you're doing is you're kind of getting them going. And once they get going, then they realize, and I do want to shout out Aja Yet. I have to shout her out, because she is like one of the biggest successes of the Darion Donji 1 Minute Film School. She was overwhelmed. She had these visions. She was a brilliant writer already, but she did not know how to realize her stuff. And she had issues with people trying to give her the runaround on technical stuff, like, oh, I'm a DP and I've shot these commercials and I've done all these things and you have to do it the way I want. No, that idea you have is, she was dealing with all of that, and a lot of kind of women, like anti-women kind of thing, where it's like, oh, you're a woman, I'm not really going to listen to you. She was dealing, and she's a little soft-spoken. So she's a soft-spoken woman in the film industry. So you can only imagine what, right? But she's got the vision, because she's a brilliant writer. And she came to the Darion Donji 1 Minute Film School, and she ended up making these films that won all these awards. And based on that, when she introduces herself on Clubhouse, she says, I am a writer and I'm a director, and I've won awards at Darion Donji 1 Minute Film. I'm an award-winning writer-director. She says that with confidence now. And if she's watching, I just want to say she is like one of my favorite success stories, because she makes me so happy. And she went through a lot last year, a lot. And she knows what I'm talking about when I say that. And she's come out strong and on top. And so I'm proud of her. She's like an MVP. There are a lot of people who are MVPs, but she's probably the top MVP.
Oh, and we are proud of her too. I know who you're talking about, Aja. She's
great.
Really, and she's lovely. So there is a place for people like her and I, because I'm a little soft-spoken sometimes too. So there is a place for us, right, Darion?
Yes, there is. Absolutely, there is. Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is great. So thank you for that. Hi, Aja. We want to say hi to you. And also, I did want to talk a little bit about Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
Jeff.
How are we on time right now, just so I know?
So, what's that, love?
How are we on time right now, just so I know?
Well, we need to start wrapping it up. We're going to ask this question. I'm going to hand it over to Paul, and then we'll probably do final thoughts. But I wanted to talk about Unreal Engine 5. Jeff, my husband, has downloaded it, and he loves it. He downloaded it because he was listening with me to your 1 Minute Film School.
Wow.
And yes, and it inspired him. And he's been waiting. He's a computer programmer. He's been waiting for the technology to come up to this certain point, because he wanting to do something, but this is it. And you inspired him. He's downloading it. He's going through the tutorials. He's on, I think, Jeff, are you on Film and TV, the 3rd page? Yes, he's on Film and TV, the 3rd page tutorials. And he wanted me to say, thank you, Darion, from Jeff to you. Thank you so much. And you're amazing.
That's amazing, Jeff. I'm really proud of that. And guys, Unreal Engine 5, I just want to say, like this, if my face hasn't been lit up already during this interview, my face would light up even more, because I kid you not, like Unreal Engine is about to pay for the rest of my life. I'm going to tell you that right now. I fully believe that. Unreal Engine 5, not only Unreal, I would say game engines in general, but obviously Unreal Engine is the top of the game engines. So between Unreal Engine, Unity, those two are the best, and then whatever might come after them. the game engine technology is the biggest shift. It's the biggest thing that's going to have an impact on the film industry ever. This is bigger than going from film to digital.
Wow.
Let me repeat that. This is it's going to have a bigger impact on the film industry than going from film to digital did.
It's very exciting, isn't it, Darion?
It's so exciting. And you know, we talk about this on Clubhouse, so we definitely invite you to come out and join the rooms and get into those conversations, because we can talk about why it's such a big deal. But just like your husband, Jeff, is reading the manual and going through the tutorials and stuff, this is the first technology, this is the first anything ever. I'm actually reading the manual on a daily basis. I've never done that before. I've always just dug in, you know, and I'm like, let me just you know, press some buttons and see what happens, right? You know, and I'm, you know, I was a software programmer in my former career, right? Prior to this. And I never read manuals for that. You know what I mean? You know, and I paid for my daughter to go to private school, and you know, and she's, you know, going through Stanford now, and then she's going to go to art school, you know, at the Royal College of Art in the fall and everything like that. All of that was without reading any manuals. So you got to imagine, if I tell you that I'm going to read a manual now for the first time for something, I really believe in this thing, and I think that it's going to allow us to tell stories faster. It's going to democratize their storytelling ability. It'll allow people to tell stories that never have been able to tell stories in the way that they have. And I'm really, really excited about it. And I think I'm going to retire off of it. I really do. So
I believe that too. And you were mentioning that you were so inspired that after you saw Top Gun Maverick, that you went home and did some airplanes. Can you share a little bit about that, Darion?
Absolutely. Yeah, go to my Instagram. You're going to see some airplane stuff drop this week, because I'm all about it. I love the F-35. Oh my gosh, Maverick is such like a USA type movie. It's like USA, USA, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And it's you know, it's breaking records, and it's a great. Paul, have you seen it yet? Have you seen Top Gun yet?
No, I was at Podfest in Orlando this weekend, and I was going to try to get people to go, but we were just so busy, and I just got back. Okay. But I mean, it's that movie, the original movie, of course, means so much, and I love the F-35 as well. I mean, I remember being in school, and the Mac had just come out, and there was a game on there where you would pilot an F-35 and arm the missiles, and it was very, you know, now it's like an antique, but I used to love flying those F-35s. But the movie Top Gun, we would use to demonstrate big screen TVs. This is back in the 1900s for people that are like, what's the big deal? Like, so that music, everything. I mean, I remember coming home from college to see Top Gun, and then using it to demonstrate, you know, the HD on these TVs, which was before, you know, the HD TVs were 10 grand, you know, it was crazy. Yeah. So that movie means a lot. So I would love to talk to you about Unreal, and I'll only need 1 or 2 or 3 hours. So yeah, that's AJ, if you don't mind, I'm gonna need to. No, but Darion, I would love to interview you on Paul Vato Presents, and that might go long because of the whole Unreal Engine.
We can build an army of people who are all making stuff with Unreal, because it's possible now, right? And all you really need are like decent computers, and we can make really cool stuff. I just did a 48-hour film festival here in Atlanta, purely in Unreal, like for the first time. Yeah, and it was a big risk for me, because it was like, you know, I've done really well in the 48s, right? I mean, I've won a lot of awards in Atlanta for those. So now for me to kind of like, it's almost like taking an ego step back, but because I don't really care that much about ego. I mean, I have a big ego, but it's not big enough that I will embarrass myself in a minute if I believe in it, right? And my thing was, I am going to be willing to embarrass myself and try to make this Unreal Engine film. And I did, and people really liked it. Mm-hmm. So, and it wasn't all the way of what I wanted it to be, and people still liked it. So it tells me that it's possible to make movies in Unreal Engine and have people feel emotions and really connect with these movies, which is what I was trying to see if that was possible. So now that I know that, I mean, it's unstoppable. I'm going to be doing this, and we'll see how far this goes. But I definitely would love to do collaborations and just different ideas and see how far we can take it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It sounds super fun. And It's definitely the future. So we love talking about that. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry to have to say this, but we have to start wrapping it up.
Sure.
But before that, I want to ask one more question. Darion, what are you working on now? What's fun and exciting for you now?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's all about Unreal Engine 5 for me and handling. So what you'll start seeing is if you are clocking my Instagram, I'm going to get to a point where I start to post a shot every day. So that's kind of my goal for the summer. So starting today is May 31st, and we're about to go into June 1st.
Yeah.
The idea is that throughout the month of June, I want to post an Unreal Engine 5 shot on my Instagram every single day, regardless, and get to the point that I can really produce very fast. But give myself those deadlines, right? Under 1 minute. I believe in the 1 minute film school. So in my Unreal Engine stuff, you'll notice that I'll start to make things that are under 1 minute, like as a way to learn,
Cool.
fast and learn. So I'm very, very excited about it. I am working on some big projects that I'm looking forward to share as soon as it's allowed or whatever, because there is a project I was involved with. I made a 1 minute film that helped with the promotional package, the pitch package for that project. And so that project generated over $1 million in it's like an LA production. I'll be out there this summer doing it. And as soon as I know what I can share, I'll share more. But my 1 minute film that I made helped raise that $1 million. You know what I mean?
Congratulations.
When I say 1 minute films can really make a difference, it's not like I'm practicing what I preach. Like you don't need more than a minute to impact somebody. If Paul, if I send you a video and it's a minute long, you're gonna know within that minute whether you're excited or not to see more.
Yeah.
100%. So
100%.
focus on that, everybody, and it's like you get good at that 1 minute, you can probably do anything you want in this film industry. I would guess.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Paul, any questions that you have for Darion before we do final thoughts?
No, I would love to interview Darion on Paul Vato Presents. So thank you for that opportunity, and we'll connect because I think we have a lot to discuss from Unreal 5 to a lot of other things that unfortunately the time always comes so fast, AJ.
It's so fast, yeah.
I know.
Okay.
But let's start final thoughts then, and we'll have to have you back again, Darion, and talk about more of your wonderful fun projects in the future. But let's start with you, Darion. We do final thoughts. It's a message from your heart or a shout out or anything you'd like to say. So over to you, Darion.
Okay, I just want to, it's clear for me. It's just all the people who have been a part of this film journey. Film for me is a second career. So for anybody who is like scared to get into it like I was, because maybe you didn't grow up in a film family or grow up in a film city. I did not grow up in a film city. I live in a film city now. So I live in a city that wasn't a film city that became a film city. But you can absolutely do it. You really, really can. But thank you to all the people who believed in me and worked on my projects like for free, right? Like all those names and the people that I mentioned before, those were projects that were unpaid, right? I didn't have money to pay anybody. I only had money to maybe pay for the food so that we wouldn't go hungry while making these films. So everybody who believes in those independent types of films and collaborating on stuff to create something that didn't exist, thank you to the people who worked on stuff with me. I will always try to give back, and I will hope that other people continue to do the same so that we can create the dream reality that we want, that we envision. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, Darion. Thank you so much. You are really an excellent cinematographer, director, producer, and screenwriter. Thank you so much for that. And over
Take the time to appreciate that.
Oh, bless your heart. And over to you, Paul.
Well, no, it's been an honor and a pleasure to really get to sit down and chat with you as opposed to only on Clubhouse where we have such a limited time. So this was so enjoyable and so educational and motivational, especially with the 1 minute film school. I think people that are out there, it's just do it. Done is better than perfect. Start ugly, just get out there and do it. And it could be your second career and you might end up falling in love with it more. So thank you. And for anyone that wants to follow me, just go to paulvato.com or vato.tv, and it'll take you to all of my social media. And thank you for letting me be a part of this, AJ.
Thank you so much, Paul, for being a part of it. And Darion, I want to thank you. You're awesome on so many levels. You're awesome. And you're a super nice guy, too. And I just want to give a shout out to you, Darion, and thank you. And we respect you so, so very much. And for my final thoughts, I just want to say, please support Darion and his message for the whole world. And that is to support independent artists, because we have a voice, we have stories, and they're wonderful stories, and you will love them. So support them in any way that you can.
Yeah.
And Darion, what are you, Darion? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, make sure to tell Jeff if he wants to get involved in any Unreal projects. Let's do it. Yeah, let's make some cool stuff.
Okay. Jeff, can you hear that? And he's going to be so happy to hear that. He gave me a thumbs up. He's really,
awesome.
really happy.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. So thank you so much for that, Darion. And I hope Jeff, yeah, that would be fun, Jeff. If you've got kind of a friend here for Unreal Engine. Darion is a really cool guy and really super, super kind guy. So thank you so much, Darion, for that. And you're so knowledgeable on film. And until next time, until we meet again, with much love and respect.
Great show. Thanks, everybody. This has been fun.
Thank you.